Hey, thanks for joining us on the Eat Crunchy podcast. We are three sisters on a journey towards healthy lives using Weight Watchers to get there. We'd love to hear about your journey as well on our Facebook page or at eatcrunchy.com.
Hey everyone, it's Lisa from Eat Crunchy, and I have got Rebecca and Heidi here with me, remotely actually, but we're all here. I was realizing that we have all been on Weight Watchers now approximately a year. So we started. Yay! So I don't remember exactly when I started, but it was in March sometime. And Rebecca, you started a few weeks before me, and Heidi, you started a few weeks after me. So it's been approximately a year, which is really exciting. And Rebecca, I think you said on a prior podcast that that's like the longest that you'd ever stuck to an eating plan, and I have to agree. So ish, stuck to it ish, ups and downs. But anyway, so I was thinking about just the lessons that I've learned over the past year of having a consistent, persistent focus on health. And some of the things that just, maybe are not lessons that I knew ahead of time, or sort of things that are always talked about, but just things that I'm now internalizing as I move forward into this journey. And I thought it would be a good idea to just sort of reflect back over the past year, but especially to talk about those lessons. And then just see if you guys have anything for you that you've learned over the past year. But you ready to go?
Yep, let's do it.
All right. So the first one is, and I don't think any of these lessons are like earth shattering, but they're things that have become more meaningful for me. So the first thing that I've realized is just that this requires a very deep commitment. It requires an emotional commitment, a physical commitment, a mental focus commitment, because there are so many things that are fighting against you in this battle. You're fighting against your body, I think, gets just comfortable where it is. And there's a lot of, we talked about in the past, some of the studies that have come out about how, you get hungrier when when you're trying to lose weight, and sometimes your body tries to sabotage the work that you're doing. So there's your body and the cravings. There are addictions, which we've talked about in the past, which are real. You've got family traditions, you've got deep-rooted habits, you've got emotional issues, you've got mental issues, you've got depression sometimes, you've got, your deep-rooted relationship with food that you've had for many, many years, and how you interact with food. You've got just the emotional and mental exhaustion that comes from trying to focus every single day, every single bite, every single meal on being healthy. You've got all your expectations about, like, okay, I'm being healthy, now I want to lose weight. And then when you don't, and you're disappointed and you have setbacks, and there's all these things that just make this so, so, so difficult, that your commitment to be healthy really just, it has to come from like deep, deep down. Because if you don't have that, you're just not going to get up and keep trying again.
I'm feeling suddenly depressed.
I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to do that.
That's a lot of work.
But it is, right? It is.
Well, and Lisa, that I feel like that's why at the beginning, when I started Weight Watchers, I didn't tell myself this is going to be forever, this is going to be for a year. I was like, I signed up for 3 months. I can do 3 months. And I almost feel like I do that every month. Like every month it's like, I don't have to do this forever. I can do it for another month. Because I don't know that I'm ready to make that commitment. I mean, I have no intention of, giving up the weight loss journey, but it feels differently, and it feels overwhelming when I have to think about it in such a long-term phase. But I think that you're right that, like, it's almost like once you accept it's long-term, you are better at accepting, I don't know, the consequence. It sounds such like a downer, like the consequences of basically you being overweight. You're accepting that this is going to be a battle for forever.
Well, it's cutting through that denial, right?
Right.
If I don't tell anybody I'm overweight, they won't notice piece of things.
Yeah.
Right. If I don't mention it, then suddenly my heart is very healthy. Like there are physical consequences and emotional consequences and social consequences to being overweight. And when you talked about that though, Lisa, it did feel really heavy to me. And I felt like that's where I think the struggle comes as I reflect over the last year, is not the times that I'm feeling really motivated and I think that I'm in a really good headspace. It's the times that I just don't have the amount of mental and emotional energy that it takes, that it just can be really overwhelming. And I think that's sometimes when people give up. And that's one thing I'm feeling really happy about, is that it's been a year and I've not given up, but I've certainly have times of better adherence than other times. But it's hard. It is hard. And it does require a lot of ongoing work And a lot of support, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. But
Well, and I feel like it's almost, I don't want to say that I've been lied to my whole life, and I know that a lot of times, companies are trying to sell their particular solution, quote unquote, to health. But I so often it's like it's a combination of diet and exercise. And even I was reflecting on the question that people ask, well, is it more diet and less exercise, or what percent diet is it and what percent exercise? Okay, diet and exercise are obviously important, but that's actually, in my opinion, just two out of a multifaceted approach that
Yeah.
is required. And all those things that I talked about, a lot of them are emotional, a lot of them are habitual, a lot of those things go back to way back in our history, and just how we've dealt with food and the whatever. Everybody has their own story, but whatever it is that's sort of caused your relationship with food and your habits, and then the way your body pushes back. There's so many more things than just focusing on the food and the exercise. I wish it was that simple, but in order to stay mentally focused and do all the planning that's required, and getting up every time you fall off the horse, and all of that, there's so much emotional strength that you just have to find inside of yourself.
So I was going to ask, Lisa, in your opinion, in terms of the concept of it being long-term and this being like a thing that you're dealing with, is it better to try to get yourself to accept that at the beginning, or is it okay to say you can take short-term approaches to it, and like I kind of do? But then I thought it almost doesn't even matter, because you're going to have to come across some emotional something frequently or every so often. I mean, everybody's coming across some emotional thing that you're having to deal with things anyway. So whether you you tell yourself at the beginning this is long term, or you tell yourself it's short term, either way, there are other things you're having to deal with.
Well, and I think a lot of the popular science now has said that, they say, like, just try to lose 10% and you've accomplished a lot, and I do think short-term goals are probably the way to do it, because you do need to focus on now. You shouldn't be focused on next year. Next year never looks like you think it's going to look anyway. So you should be focusing on today. So I think short-term goals are important, but especially, we've talked before about how we have a lot to lose. And when you have a lot to lose, you can set a short-term goal, but then you're going to want to set another one and another one and another one. And over time, there's still all of that strength that's required to keep setting goals. When I look back at over the past 2 years, I'm 2 pounds away from 70 pounds.
Yay!
Which is a lot, and I'm excited, but like I got more than that to go, and it's frustrating, because I would love for that to sort of be all the big push that I did, and like now I'm done, and like, okay, now I'm just going to try to maintain it. And the mental energy here is that I have to say, you know what, good job, Lisa, but you're not even close to the finish line, in terms of what you want to be. And so that's difficult. That's so difficult to keep telling yourself, like, keep going, even though you feel like you've done, you're just tired and you've just done so much. So there's just a strength to somehow, and I don't know how you get the strength, if you guys have ideas. I keep thinking about, like, sometimes I just, like Rebecca said, I just want to sort of give up for a while. I took several weeks off from tracking, because I was just tired of tracking. I was tired of the effort that took. So sometimes maybe you've got to find ways to give yourself a break, but then you've got to find whatever that is inside of you that's going to drive that commitment and keep going if you want to be healthy. So I didn't mean to create a depressing lesson.
Yeah, it's really a bummer now. So
but that's the lesson. I mean, that's, this isn't something that they always talk about, but it's true. I mean, most people fail. That's a fact. Most people that try,
true.
They fail, and I think this is why. I think that's one reason why. Okay, so sorry about that. Let's move on to number 2 of the truths.
I need to go find a pint of ice cream. We're all gonna fail, and we have to have emotional fortitude. I don't have either.
But I think the point she was making is, if you press on, you won't fail. You just have to press on.
Yeah, it's not that we have to fail. It's just you want it to be easier. And if I just feel like all those.
A good way of saying it is that there, like you had said, things get packaged as all you have to do are these 3 things, and then you've got it. And it's a lot harder than that.
Mm-hmm. If you just have, carrot juice for 6 weeks, you're going to be skinny forever, and I've tried all that stuff, you want it to be easier, but it's just not. So
Right.
That's a good summary. You want it to be easier, but it's not.
okay. The second thing is, and I feel like this is something that, like, if I were a nutritionist or a scientist or something, I would do a better job of explaining it. But I feel like another thing that I've learned over the past year is that having these cycles, having success and having failure, having good times, having less successful times, it's just part of the journey, and you just have to learn to deal with it instead of feeling like I'm good, quote unquote, when I'm eating according to plan, and then, oh, I'm bad, or I'm off, or I'm, things are really bad, when I'm not eating according to plan, and like putting those values on it, of just realizing that the cycle of success and I don't know what to call the non-success or the less adherence to the plan, that's just a part of life. We have times when we have the ability to be more in control, and things are going well, and we're feeling strong, and we've got that emotional strength, and we're doing everything we're supposed to do. And there are strategies that are associated with that, right? You want to ride that wave as long as you can. You want to push yourself. You want to try to get as much weight loss as you can during that time, because there will be times when you're not that strong, when you have something happening in your life that sort of pulls at your emotions, or you just, whatever the reason is, you give into the addiction, and you're trying to overcome that. And then there are strategies where you deal with when you're on that part of the cycle where you're sort of not being as successful, and you need to sort of strengthen yourself up. Maybe it's emotionally strengthen yourself up to get back to the positive side. But recognizing that those cycles and the ups and downs happen, instead of just being upset and saying, oh, why do I have these downs, just acknowledging they're going to happen. And every decision that you make, you're almost one decision away, at least I feel like I am, from being in the bad part of the cycle, right? I feel like I'm one decision away about ice cream before I'm like sitting with a tub of ice cream, so doing what I can to sort of strengthen myself when things are going well, and then figuring out how to get out of it, the difficult times when I'm not doing so well. And it's just a part of the process, instead of seeing it as like good and bad. It's putting the right strategy at the right time frame. I don't know if that makes sense, but
I feel
it does make sense. Go ahead. Hi.
No, you go ahead.
I see things in pictures sometimes. And so as you were talking about that, I had this image of like climbing the mountain, right? So you're climbing in a mountain, and when it's a sunny day and the ground is nice and firm, you're going to make a lot more progress up the mountain. But when it's, pouring torrential rains or snowing, you're going to have to kind of hunker down and wait for the storm to pass until you can make progress again. And I think that it can be similar, that if every time you backslide and you go back to the base of the mountain, you're never going to get to the top of the mountain. Mm-hmm. But, you take advantage of the good weather times and the good climbing times, and you brace yourself for the worst when it's a hard time, but then kind of continue to make progress after the fact. And so I think that can fit a lot with the process.
See, and I part of me is thinking, even if I'm not making progress with the actual weight loss, along this journey, I'm having to find ways to deal with all the emotional crap that kind of led me to my weight to begin with, in a lot of ways. And so to me, it feels like it's okay if I'm not losing weight right now, because I'm still making progress with learning a different coping skill. Or I almost see it as like I'm always making progress. It's just one symptom of that progress is my weight. That's just one thing to judge it by. But like,
I like that.
Or how I'm dealing. Am I going for a walk when I get stressed rather than going for the chocolate chips, or whatever it is that you're dealing with, and you're learning how to cope in a different way? I almost feel like it's just we have to measure it differently, and we have to recognize that we're measuring it differently, and not just go by the scale, because that is not always going to move based on whatever you're going through at that time.
The concept of having non-scale victories.
But not even, being a measure of success.
Right. No, I like that, Heidi. And I think I saw another weight loss success story where they always ask these questions, the same questions. One of them is always, when did you have your turning point? And that question drives me crazy, because I've had a million turning points. It's not like all of a sudden I said, oh, you need to lose weight, and then all of a sudden I lost weight. Like I've been trying for years and years and years,
I've hit rock bottom like 100 times.
Right.
Well, that's
And
what I hate about the concept of like finding your why. Like it's a good concept, and being constantly remotivated by the reason that you're doing this is important. But it's not like I was stumbling through life without a why. I found my why and then it became easy. You
yeah,
know, the whys help you to stick with it longer, I think, and that's a motivating thing. But I had worked with a nutritionist for a while, and one day I was expressing some frustration, and I hadn't been doing as well as I'd wanted, and she had said something to the effect of, I mean, don't you really want this? And I thought that was the stupidest thing a person could say.
yeah,
Like, of course I really want this. My desire for this is not connected to the fact that I'm having a struggle. Like, it's okay to acknowledge that I'm having a struggle and I'm going to work through it, but I'm having a struggle and I want it. And that's not sufficient. You still have all these other things you have to do to be able to be successful.
yeah. No, I agree with that. And that goes back to the thing I was saying before about just how many things are pushing against you.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. And I just, for this one, it feels like, and we've talked about how, it's so easy to sometimes when you lose, what I do every time I lose a pound or two is I start looking at the calendar and start planning when I can buy the smaller clothes. And I just feel like it's really important to sort of internalize, for me anyway, the lesson that I can't really control the rate at which my body loses weight. Even when I'm being right on, even when I'm eating everything as I should, I still can't control it. It releases the weight when it feels like it,
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not that my body doesn't want to release it. It's that I'm having other reasons that I'm not able to stick to the plan as much. But whatever it is, whether it's something that I'm sort of, doing myself, or whether it's just my body's reaction to whatever I'm doing, I just don't have control over that. I mean, I can control right now, but I need to know where I am. I need to know, I think being conscious of how you're feeling all the time. And I've never been this person that's been in tune with my emotions, right, guys? But but I just feel like with this process I feel like it's been so much more important. It is so much more important to stay close to how you're doing with all, the whole sort of holistic way of looking at health, I guess. So lesson, what are we on? Lesson number 2. Okay. And these are in no particular order, I should mention. Okay, so then the third one that I thought about is that in terms of deciding the best way to be healthy, I feel like one thing that I've learned in the past year is that I'm the captain of my ship. So it's been what I've done, what I think what a lot of us do, or what I've done over the years, is you go and you try to find some off-the-shelf solution from this doctor and that doctor and this plan and that plan. And, why don't I do this and eat these foods? And then, oh, that didn't work. Why don't I eat these foods? So, and you try all of these different things. And even with Weight Watchers, I tried to stick to sort of how I perceived the plan at first. But as the year has gone by, I have really tweaked it to what I think is, to what works for me. If you're somebody that just feels like there's certain types of foods that are going to make you more successful, then you should eat those foods, right? And it's not an off-the-shelf solution. For me, it's a Lisa solution. It's what I have found over trial and error, lots and lots and lots and lots of trial and error, is going to help my body, be the healthiest. And I've got to come to terms with the fact that these are all choices that I make. These aren't choices you learn from other people, and you learn about nutrition, but at the end of the day, it's up to me to decide for myself and to find the strength for myself to sort of implement the best plan. That's obvious, but any thoughts about that one?
So I feel like I was thinking something similar. So I think there's, and at the beginning of my weight loss journey, I thought, I'm really the weight loss journey a year ago when I joined Weight Watchers, this particular journey.
Right.
There's wisdom in following the plan and kind of, I don't know, just following what the leaders are saying and what Weight Watchers has laid out, because they have done a lot of research. But, if you do find something that doesn't work for you, it's okay to determine that doesn't work for me. So like on Freestyle, eating a whole bunch of beans, it doesn't work for me. So I can't have a lot of beans and still be successful. I can't have 2 bowls of 0 point chili every night and still lose weight. And so I agree with you, and especially as you were talking about the cycle concept. If one thing isn't working for you, we just happen to be all on Weight Watchers right now, but I've known lots of people who are saying, Freestyle, I've given it 3 months. it's not working for me. I'm going to go back to Smart Points, or I'm going to try Points Plus for a little bit. Like, it seems like some people get offended when you choose a different plan. I know that when Lisa went to Simply Filling, I was almost a little offended that she did that. Like, as if somehow it personally affected me. But the truth is that it's better than stopping and going off entirely and not, doing what you were doing before, maybe. And it's allowing you to figure out your body some more. So if this isn't working, that's okay to switch something different. And if Weight Watchers isn't working, it's okay to find something that works best for you. And there's no like guilt or shame in seeking out what works best for your body.
Well, that's like when it was probably my second month on Weight Watchers, and I'd gone to a meeting and I was weighing in, and I think I gained like a pound that week. And I was like, what the crap? I have followed this plan religiously. I have not gone over points. And as I kind of sat in the meeting and thought through my week and what I'd eaten, I realized that while they were low points, I had a lot of low point chips. And one thing that I had to learn about myself is that I can't do a lot of sodium. It causes me to retain weight. I don't lose weight as fast. Other people can have bags and bags and bags of the chips and it doesn't impact them. Popcorn, all that stuff, it doesn't impact them. It impacts me.
Yeah.
And so even though it's, technically on plan and technically on the program, even a serving is going to change how my body's going to lose weight that week. And I have to make a choice as to whether or not it's worth it,
Well, and when you think about if you think about like, you could have totally gone off and been like, this isn't working for me, but instead you were mindful and thoughtful and you tweaked the plan. I mean, you were still living within.
I complained a bunch, and then, but yeah, I mean, I decided this is just something I can't do and be successful. And
right.
So
we call it, people like, it's tweaking the plan, but you're still kind of working within the guidelines of the plan.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. And I think that's why there's still wisdom in following the plan, if finding the way that the plan works for you. Well, there's also wisdom in going off the plan and finding something else. Like Weight Watchers is not the be all end all solution here,
And lots of research has said, so long as you stick with it, whatever it is that you choose, you're going to have some success. And we've chosen Weight Watchers, and it's something that I plan on staying with for a time, but I feel like anybody can be healthy. It's about general principles that are beneficial, and I need guidelines and structure. And so, programs like Weight Watchers work well for me.
Well, and Weight Watchers it is sort of a broad set of principles, especially with Freestyle. So it's not like some of these other plans where they give you exactly what you're supposed to eat every single meal. I think they are trying to say, look, figure out among everything that we've given you guideline wise, what works for you. Right.
Yeah. And then just use them for the support and the tools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's wise.
They don't have enough croissants and brie on their plan, though.
I think that they probably have just the right amount.
Just smearing of Nutella.
Okay, yeah, this is just going to make everybody hungry. Okay, so the fourth one for me, and then I'm interested in what you guys have, was I just have been amazed as we have really sort of put ourselves out there in terms of these podcasts and our Facebook page and blogging and stuff like that, just how many people reach back out and seem to want to be a part of a community. I've also noticed this on Connect in the Weight Watchers, on the Weight Watchers app, that I'm not alone in this at all. I mean, even, around me, there are probably lots of people that I don't even know that are struggling with it, because this isn't something that we really talk about a lot. But there's so many people that are having the exact same struggles, and they're always sort of grateful. What we hear a lot is, thank you so much for talking about the stuff that's real. There's lots of people that are dealing with this stuff, and I think a lot of people are dealing with it in silence or, alone, because they just don't have a lot of support. And I've been really surprised at how many people have reached out and just been there, and it sort of opened my eyes to the fact that there's so many people that want to sort of, they're struggling with things like this. They're trying to get healthy, but they also just want that support, and they want to see that there are other people that are going through the same thing. And I wasn't expecting that, but it's been a really nice thing to find, and it makes me want to keep going. I found myself saying things that I might not say that are sort of vulnerable, obviously, just because I feel like, even though it's sort of against my natural personality, I feel like if it's helpful, I find myself wanting to use my own journey to sort of try to help, to help other people.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
I'll go first this time. When you were talking about that, I was thinking about how there have been times in my life where maybe I wasn't on a weight loss journey at that present moment. And a friend or someone that I knew from church would come up and start talking about like they were trying to lose weight. And thinking back on it, they were probably trying to find that support with someone who clearly needed to also lose weight and thought maybe I was also on the journey. But instead I took offense and was like, get away from me, fatty. Like, I didn't do that obviously, but just like, I didn't respond and provide that support that they were probably looking for.
We're going to do a future
because I was
podcast about
self-conscious
that,
and I wasn't there. I wasn't on that journey, like they were.
Yeah. I have learned and relearned the importance of support and the need for support in this process. And I feel like this could be and might be another podcast in the future, but I feel like, for me, it started in going to meetings, and I've shared this before. When I went to the first meeting, I sat in the very back corner. I did not put my name tag on because I didn't want people to know my name. I was embarrassed and I felt ashamed, and I was so anxious. And then I went back the next week, and then I went back the next week, and it got easier to go back, and it got easier to talk about things and to get the support and to kind of have my struggles brought into the light and not be kept, dark and shaming. But that has led me to be able to ask for support more and to receive support. This week, I shared with you guys last week, I was struggling to kind of consistently apply the things that we were learning and that we had learned. And this week was kind of a reset week for me, and I did a lot better. But midway through the week, I went on Connect because I was struggling. And what I put on Connect was that I was really struggling. I hadn't been to a meeting in a couple of weeks, and I know that I needed to go to a meeting, but all I wanted to do was eat Totino's pizza and Fudge Tracks ice cream. And I was like, I really need help. And that's what I felt like in that moment. I was struggling, and all I could think of was go on Connect. And so I went on Connect and I put a post, and then I thought, okay, what healthy choices do I need to make? And so then I went on a walk, and I had a big drink of water, and then I came home and I'm like, okay, what can I eat that's healthy? Somehow just verbalizing it made it easier. Just verbalizing the struggle made it easier for me to do what I needed to do. I didn't even look at Connect to see any responses. But then I went back on to Connect, and there were a lot of responses, lots of people giving great support, which I really appreciated. And one girl had shared something that I wanted to share with you guys. And she said, Eat Crunchy has been so encouraging. I look forward to the new episode every week. It's my replacement for a weekly meeting since I'm online I'm online only. Let me encourage you for a minute. You've got this. You know why? Because you know how to work the program and you know it works. Most importantly, you know that with God, all things are possible. Keep pushing forward. The days will pass away. Right. And I really appreciated her support. I appreciated the reminder that I'm not alone, that other people are aware of my journey. And it meant a lot to me. And then the other comments that were left meant a lot to me too. And what I found was that I had had the kind of that night where I needed to turn things around, and with the support was able to. And then that led to a series of other good choices. So the next day I went to a meeting, and the next day I worked out again, and, good choice to good choice to good choice to good choice. And so I can't overstate how important I think support is. I know that this is something you have to do it. I am the captain of my ship, and I have to have all this mental toughness, and I'm the only one that can make these decisions for myself. But man, it is helpful to not do this on my own. And it's been helpful to have my sisters doing this with me. And it just makes it easier to know that you're not alone in the process.
Yeah, I like that, Reb. I thought that was a great comment that person made on your comment. It was so sweet for her to say that. So I know I've monopolized the whole podcast, and we're probably going to get long here. Maybe we don't have time to talk about. Maybe we can talk about lessons you guys have learned next time, or do you have anything you want to share today?
I appreciate the thoughts that you shared, Lisa. I can tell you put a lot of thought and energy into the things that you had wanted to share today, and that those are things as you've been reflecting back on your journey that have stood out to you and have been really important for you.
I feel like I feel like those are a lot of the things I've learned too. So I feel like a lot of mine would be duplicate. The only one that I was thinking of as you were talking was just that hasn't been said, is I've talked to a lot of people who've done Weight Watchers. I've, interacted with several people on Connect, follow a lot of people. And I have known one person out of all the people who's joined Weight Watchers and never gained a pound after that. Like it feels like the realistic version is going to say there's going to be a point in your journey where you're going to gain weight. And if there isn't, I think that's awesome. I mean, really, true praise for you. But the likelihood that at some point you're going to gain a pound when you step on the scale is very high. And I have to keep telling myself that just if that happens or when that happens, don't give up. And I really keep thinking about, if I'm not making victory at the scale, I have to think about the other places that I'm making progress. Am I dealing with emotions better? Am I dealing with that, other things better? Am I exercising more than I used to, or just being active more in general? That the realistic version of, I'm going to go do Weight Watchers and I'm going to lose 2 pounds every week. That's not realistic. It's not likely that's going to be your experience. And even the one person who has never gained weight, there have been times that he too has been frustrated because he didn't lose as much as he did want to, as in prior weeks. So.
Well, and that kind of speaks to, I feel like, one of the lessons, the uncomfortable lessons that I've learned, which is my journey is my own. I can't compare my journey to anybody else's. When I first started, I went on Connect and these people had lost 150 pounds in 6 months. And I was like, oh, I can't wait. I started looking at clothing. I was so excited about this new version that was going to be me.
Yep.
But that was their journey. And a lot, like Heidi said, sometimes people lost weight and then regained it. Sometimes they lose it and then were able to keep it off. My process and what this has looked like for me is that I've lost some and then I've gained some and then I've lost more. And I have a downward trend, but it's not as fast as I had hoped for. But that's mine and I get to own that. And I, having had kind of my year marker come around, I thought I'm lighter than I was a year ago. I'm not where I thought I would be, but man, I'm excited that I'm lighter than I was. And there's a girl that I follow on Connect who, I love her posts and she's really optimistic and she had a lot to lose and has had some success. And then she posted that it took her, I think, 6 years to get to her goal weight. And I didn't realize that it had taken her so long. And I remember thinking, I looked at her post before and thought like, oh man, she's so lucky. Or, oh, look what progress she's made. And I was envious. And I had to remember, like, it's not my job to be envious of somebody else's journey, that they're experiencing a lot and through their own process. And mine is my own, and I get to take ownership of that and be excited about that. But I can't really compare myself to another person, and that's okay too.
I'm glad that we share too, because I think that having somebody say that it took 6 years, that goes back to what we've been talking about during, for this podcast, is just all the things that you're dealing with. It can take a long time. It's okay to be a member of the Turtle Club, but isn't she glad that she didn't give up? Right. I mean, I'm glad I haven't given up, even though it hasn't gone as fast as I wish. So.
Well, and, Lisa, you talked before about that your body doesn't always want to lose weight right away, and that there's some natural physiological things that can make it difficult and challenging to lose weight. But I think that, like, on another level too, like we're worth it. Like, I guess I'm thinking about the person that might be listening to our podcast right now, that they might be feeling like they're struggling. And I guess to that person, I'm finding myself wanting to say, you're worth it. You are valuable. Whether you lose weight or not, you are valuable. Whether you lose weight or not, you are worthwhile. Whether you lose weight or not, you are worth having joy and happiness in your life and doing things that help you to feel fulfilled. Whether you lose weight or not, you are a person of enormous worth. And if you want to lose weight, and if you feel like that's something that's important to you, then keep doing it. Keep working it. It's possible, and you're going to be able to do it. But you're of worth and of value either way.
I think that's a good note to end on. And I completely agree. I mean, I think everybody who is in this journey, whether you're sort of mentally, there today, I don't mean to say mentally there today, but whether you're focused, whether you're focused on losing weight right in this moment, or you've decided to wait and focus on it in the future, and whatever it is, wherever you are in the journey, I wish that, if there's one thing I could just embed in everybody's mind, it's just the concept that Rebecca said, that everybody's important, and you are the captain of your own ship, but that doesn't mean you don't have a large support system, a lot of other people that are dealing with it as well. And you can, I mean, I think the other thing that I'm learning as progress has come is that all the things that we talked about that are obstacles, I'm capable of overcoming them. It just takes more time than I thought.
That's right.
But I'm capable of overcoming them, and I will overcome them, and that's what life is about, is overcoming obstacles. So
that's right.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us, everybody.
And thank you for your support. We do feel it, and we appreciate it.
Please come and find us on Facebook if you haven't already. And we also have a website called eatcrunchy.com and a YouTube channel. And we will talk to you later. Have a great week.